Thank you so much for coming for this information and Q&A session on the Turing Roche Community Scholar Scheme. My name is Vicky Helen and I'm a community manager for the Turing Roche Partnership. I'm joined today by Chris Harburn, who is the expert statistical scientist and advanced analytic lead at Roche, and who is the lead for the partnership on the Roche side. And I'm also joined by Maria Anagnosto-Poulou, who is our project manager for the partnership, and also Ali Marsh, who is our senior program manager for health at Turing. So this is our running for today. We're going to give some background on the partnership, why we want to run this scheme, how we see it running in practice, who's eligible for the scheme and how to apply. And then as mentioned, we'll stop the recording there and we'll take any questions. And I'm now going to hand over to Chris, who is going to give a bit of background on the partnership.
Great. Okay, thanks, Vicky. And yeah, thanks everyone for dialing in today. So so I'm Chris Harburn. I'm one of the leads for the partnership from the Roche side. And as we say, this is a partnership. So it's a combination of two different organisations coming together with this. So on one side, we have the Alan Turing Institute, which is the UK's National Institute for Data Science and Artificial Intelligence. It's been established since 2015 and is in fact a network of universities, industry, charity, government partners, bringing all these different bodies together to sort of develop data science and artificial intelligence within the UK. It's something which is a strategic government investment, supported by the UK government. And within the Turing, there's a number of different programmes dealing with different areas of application of AI. This partnership sits under the Health and Medical Sciences programme, and there's a number of different partners within this, but Roche is the first pharmaceutical partner. So Roche is a pharmaceutical company, so it's one of the world's largest pharmaceutical companies. It's been established in 1896. And it's an interesting pharmaceutical company. As well as developing pharmaceutical treatments, it also has a very large diagnostics division to develop diagnostic tools for identifying and understanding disease. And has also invested heavily into various different data assets as well, such as Foundation Medicine and Flatiron, which sort of do real-world data, electronic health records, and genomic screening. This has given us sort of a real investment within the idea of personalised healthcare. And this is, the Turing is probably the partnership which is our largest one, but we have another numbers with other organisations. And we've got a 5-year partnership between the Alan Turing Institute with Roche, which started around about 2 years ago. We've got about 3 years to run. And over the next couple of slides, we'll just describe what's involved within that. So, next slide. So this is just our partnership team who's involved with this partnership. You'll see some of the faces here on the call today. I won't go through who everyone is on this, but just sort of really sort of emphasise that it's actually a team bringing together both partners within the partnership. And it's very much an active collaboration on both sides, with Roche really wanting to be involved in all the various different activities. I'd also say that there's a number of other people involved within the partnership, with a number of researchers and other postdocs who are working on specific research projects, who also form a much larger community, which goes within this partnership. Within the partnership, we structured this with a North Star. So this is sort of an overall direction of where our work should be taking us. And this is in this blue box on the left, to enable the generation of insights to better understand patients and disease heterogeneity, is relevance to clinical outcomes at an unprecedented level in order to improve clinical care. And the idea of this is it's around understanding that all individuals and all patients are different, and that their disease that they have can all be different. And that may result, in order to get the best care, that they may need to be treated slightly differently. And the idea is that we have huge amounts of information and data on our patients at the moment. How can we use this data in order to drive this improved healthcare? And then this is sort of how we're structured. We've got a number of different areas which we're looking at, a number of different data sources, and we're picking up specific projects which will take us towards this North Star of actually improving our healthcare in a iterative way. The activities within the partnership fall into sort of two big buckets. So one is the area of research activities, which I'll talk about in this slide. And then next slide, Vicky will take you through the community activities we have ongoing. So within our research activities, we come on three major themes, which we think are really important in this area. One area is around structured missingness. So this is thinking about how we get certain features of missing data within our data that we see, particularly when we're combining together data from lots of different sources. We're funding a couple of projects in here looking at sort of different aspects of this and have various publications either already published or ongoing within this area. Predictive modelling is certainly a big area which we're looking at doing, developing predictive modelling. And we've sort of picked out three different areas within this we're wanting to focus on. One is about fairness, so ensuring that the models that we generate really are fair and don't contain any biases within them. One is about understanding the uncertainty within our models, predictions, which are really useful when they get used for decision making. And another is about really understanding what we call the geometry of deep learning. So this is how deep learning really works and be able to utilize this in order to make recommendations on how we can best deploy this in the future. And then a third area is an area of multimodality, which is thinking about how we can combine very different types of data together. But initially, we're thinking about genomics data and imaging data and how we can pull these together in order to give the best improvement in patient care. And this is something we're looking to develop further moving forwards. And then I'll hand you back to Vicky to take you through the community activities.
Thank you so much, Chris. So cross-cutting and underlying all these research activities is community and collaboration. So ensuring that we have activities that join up the research, as well as opportunities to engage the wider community. So this partnership research doesn't exist in a bubble. We want it to be part of the Turing Roche networks and the wider scientific ecosystem. So some of the activities we've set up and we expect that the community scholars will be engaging with are our Turing Roche Slack workspace, which now has over 600 members, a monthly newsletter, our Knowledge Share seminar series, which we've been running for just over a year now, where we feature partnership updates and Turing and Roche speakers discussing different data science topics. Our YouTube channel, where we've started to develop some partnership video content, and we've also organized a number of workshops to convene researchers to discuss our research themes. So now we've covered what the partnership is up to. Why do we want to launch a community scholars scheme? So at the heart of the scheme is further building out the community around the partnership. So developing a scheme where people can engage in a structured way, which we're now in an ideal situation to do 2 years in. And as Chris mentioned, whilst we funded a lot of research projects, we also want to ensure this isn't the only route where people can engage and get involved with the partnership in a sustainable way. So this scheme will ensure we have further representatives outside of the core partnership team and the funded projects to help spread awareness of the partnership, and that this comes from a place of people embedded within academia and established networks and communities. And finally, we think this scheme is a great opportunity for us as a partnership to play a role in helping to support the career development of early career researchers, particularly as we combine academia and industry. So how will this scheme work in practice? So we're going to be recruiting up to 10 community scholars for a year-long scheme that will start this September. This is going to be our first time running the scheme, so while we have planned a lot, we don't expect to get everything right, but the aim is that we will be running this annually. Community scholars will remain enrolled at their university during the scheme and will be continuing their studies. So this scheme is a side project to that, but it's not intended to be burdensome. Which means obviously you must have your PhD supervisor's approval. For the role, we expect two main parts. So one is developing and executing a community-based project. So we really need to emphasize here that it needs to be community. We don't have scope within the scheme to support research projects, as we've already set up our research program separately. So how we're kind of defining this is secondary to the research. So for example, a podcast about current research, rather than funding you doing the research. For the community project, we've come up with 3 ideas, which you can select when you're doing your application. We've written about these examples in the call document, or you're welcome to come up with your own idea for a project. There's no advantage either way, so we welcome you to do that, you're more than welcome to pre-select one we've prepared. We'll be assessing the applications the same way. And we're also going to sponsor our scholar attending a relevant conference. So this conference can be UK-based or international, and the scholars are welcome to attend in person or virtually, depending on your preference. We'll then ask the scholar to produce a post-conference output to feed back to our community, so something like a report, a blog, or video on their time at the conference. So those are the two main roles of the scholar, but we'll also encourage them to engage with the existing community and activities within the partnership as appropriate. The scheme will be majority online. We hope to recruit scholars from institutions all across the UK, and our Turing Roche community is international, so this makes the most sense for us. But obviously there's travel opportunities through the conference, and we also hope to host an in-person final celebration event at the Turing at the end of the scheme. Whilst I'll be playing a big role in supporting the Successful Scholars community projects, we do want scholars to take ownership of their projects and drive them accordingly. If we feel projects might synergize in any way, we may team up our community scholars to work together. And we'll also be running bi-monthly cohort calls, so 6 in the year, which are spaces where community scholars can connect with each other, share short project updates, and also hear from external speakers such as our partnership team. And finally, there's a £3,000 stipend for the community scholars. So the way this works is it's split into 2 payments. So £1,000 is paid halfway through the scheme, and £1,000 at the end of the scheme as a way to compensate for the scholar's time. And then we have an £1,000 expenses part. So things like the conference travel will come out of that, any equipment for the community project as well. So what are the expectations of a community scholar? So the time commitment we expect is about 3 to 5 hours a month, including the cohort calls. Obviously, there will be periods where you perhaps contribute more time as this, such as when you go to the conference and you're developing your post-conference output, but there'll also be other months where you might be a bit quieter. And the majority of that will be your project and conference attendance, as I just mentioned. We'll want you to attend a couple of onboarding calls, and then after that, the bi-monthly cohort calls as mentioned. We won't be actively monitoring our scholars, and we trust you to work on your projects, but we will ask that you share updates about your projects at the cohort calls and also complete a short report at the 6-month mark, but this will only be shared internally with the partnership team. We obviously want you to be an active member of the Turing Roche community, so through our Slack workspace, and also contributing to ad hoc partnership communications, such as the newsletter, and again, kind of actively networking with colleagues at the Turing and Roche through opportunities from the partnership. And as I mentioned as well, we want to host this celebration event at the end of the scheme, where you can tell us all about your experiences, and we'll also ask you to write a short blog on this as well. So what are the benefits what are the benefits to being a Turing Roche community scholar? So we obviously hope it will be a really positive experience. First is the experience of developing a community project. We recognise this might not always be something that comes up as an opportunity in your PhD. So hopefully by doing it here, it's a vehicle for you to develop some new skills like event facilitation. And being connected into the partnership, which we hope will be really useful, particularly those kind of links to academia and industry. We hope it's very useful for kind of raising your profile within relevant communities, and also useful to pop onto your CV and networking with other scholars. And also curated opportunities through the cohort calls as mentioned, and also the travel opportunities. And lastly, the stipend as mentioned as well, which we hope is a nice compensation for your time. So I'm now going to pass over to Maria, who is going to take us through the eligibility and application process.
Thanks, Vicky. So who we are looking for? The scheme is currently open only to PhD students. Unfortunately, we can't support postdocs at this time. Just to ensure students aren't too overwhelmed, we want them to have completed the first year of study by the time the scheme starts in September, and they will need to be a PhD student for the duration of the scheme. whilst the scheme won't be research-based, it will have links into the research through the community activities. So we want you to be working in a relevant area. You will also need to hold the right to study in the UK. And I just want to also highlight that this scheme is separate to the Turing enrichment scheme. So you can't be an enrichment student at the same time as being a Turing Roche community scholar. We are moving now to application process. All applications need to be submitted via our FlexiGrant portal, which is linked to the web page. You will need to create a FlexiGrant account if you've never applied for anything Turing-wise before. In the portal, there will be 4 sections on the application form. The first one is personal details. Second is academic details. And for the third section, you'll need to upload 2 letters, which we have provided templates for. You can find these templates on the web page or in the FlexiGrant portal. Regarding the university department letter, we know heads of department and admin staff are very busy, so we would highly recommend that you try and get that sorted as soon as possible if you're considering applying and you don't want to miss a deadline because of that. The last section is where you can explain why you want to apply for the scheme and your community project proposal. I'm now going to hand back to Vicky.
Thanks, Maria. So yeah, just onto the assessment process. So we're trying to keep the application process as fairly easy as possible. So we won't be doing interviews for the scheme, just assessing on applications and potentially on references as well. The panel is going to be me, Rohan, who is one of our senior postdocs for the partnership, and Sarah, who is one of our leads for the partnership from the Roche side as well. I've put here the kind of criteria we'll be assessing on. There's also more information on this in the call document. So that's kind of the 3 main criteria are relevance. So again, we know it's not a research project, but as Maria mentioned, the community activities will be kind of linking in to our community. So we need you to kind of have that discipline knowledge. Proposal, so how you're going to put your project into action and how past experience will help with this. And also motivations as well, so why you want to be a scholar and how you'll contribute. So the applications are open now. They are closing at the end of the month, so the 31st of July. And then we aim to notify whether you're successful or unsuccessful by the 18th of August at the latest. And then we're aiming to start the scheme early September, but we'll be able to provide a more exact date as we go on. And as we mentioned, as Maria mentioned, definitely think getting those letters that you may need if you're considering applying as soon as possible, because I think that, yeah, might be something that could hold you up time-wise. So with that, I will stop sharing.